Well, hey everyone, welcome to the ultimate online marketing plan for window treatment companies. My name's Will Hankey. Thank you so much for jumping on today. We're excited to be able to present this to you and give you lots of tips about a lot of different things that are going on in the world of SEO and digital marketing in general. And it's going to be a great thing. I'm really happy to have everybody on here, and looks like more are filing in as we continue to talk here. So pretty excited. So let's get started. I'm ready to roll. So let's go ahead. It's time to get started. So have you ever wondered what it would be like to have a dominant web presence that positioned you as the top window treatment business in your area, in your entire city? Do you wonder what it would be like to have a flood of prospects calling into your business on a consistent basis because they found you through your different online channels? Or have you ever wondered what it would be like to know that your marketing strategy was working and that you didn't really have to worry about it? Well, those are the things that you're going to discover today. First of all, you're going to discover a blueprint covering the most important online marketing medium that you should be tapping into for your window treatment business. We're going to talk about how to get your window treatment business ranked on page 1 for the most important keywords in your specific area. We're going to go through a proven strategy for getting your company to rank in the Google Maps area by establishing your NAP or your NAP, which is name, address, and phone. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll talk about citations, how to build those, what they are, how to get more reviews, which everybody struggles with. It's easy to get those negative reviews, but those positive reviews are tough. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to go through our step-by-step strategy for getting more repeat and referral business through social media. And we're going to talk about how you can double your calls using these strategies. So why are we talking about the internet? Well, obviously there's been a massive transition from offline to online. Statistics tell us that more than 77% now of consumers go online when they're looking for window treatment services. That's huge. And then there are over 10 million searches every month for window treatment services in particular. It's just incredible the amount of shift that's happened, especially in just the last couple of years. Even Facebook has come out and said that their biggest growing demographic is the 55 plus, and for a lot of drapery type window treatment places that are creating draperies and things like that, that segment is a huge part of their business. So, being online is obviously the right way to go. So who am I and why should you listen to me? Well, my name is Will Hankey. I'm the author of the Complete Guide to Digital Marketing for Window Treatment Companies. I'm a member of the WCAA. I've spoken at industry events across the U.S. I'm one of the premier experts in digital marketing for window treatment businesses. I've been teaching digital marketing since 2003, but I've got over 21 years of experience in it. I was building websites and getting them to rank before Google was even a real thing. Which was kind of fun back in the days when Yahoo was just kind of they called it a directory. It wasn't even a search engine at the time. We work with window treatment and awning businesses all across the U.S. Obviously, my business is called Window Treatment Marketing Pros. And the biggest thing that I want to talk about today is the fact that these strategies actually work. This is a recent report from one of my clients on the keyword and their position in their specific market for that keyword. And I mean, my gosh, they're ranking for all kinds of fantastic words. And this is just a very small segment of the report, but you can see that they're ranking number 1 or 2. And then the green number next to that tells you what it was the previous time we ran the report, which was a week ago. So Draperies Design, they're in St. Louis. So Draperies Design in St. Louis, they were number 93 last week, and they're number 1 this week. So that's a heck of a move up. Some of these other aren't as drastic. Curtain stores near me, they were up 69 spots, but still, that's pretty incredible. And then the volume here tells you how many searches per month on average that particular keyword is getting. So curtain stores near me, 1,200 searches per month. So that's pretty good. I mean, they're setting themselves up for success, that's for sure. So we're going to cover the exact strategies that produce these same results right inside this presentation. I'm going to give you all kinds of tips. I also want to give you a couple attendance bonuses for jumping on today. At the end, I've got a window treatment digital marketing checklist, so a simple 2-page checklist of things that you need to make sure that you have in place if you want to even be in the game of ranking in Google, Yahoo, and Bing. So that's an easy checklist you can go through and either do or have somebody get done. Also going to give you the top 81 window treatment keywords that we've discovered, along with those average monthly searches. So you can see right there, it's kind of small, but window treatment's just that phrase, 60,500 average monthly searches. So there's a huge market out there looking for your services. And then lastly, I'm going to give you a copy of my 52-page digital marketing SEO guide that goes through all kinds of stuff, pretty much everything we're going to talk about, but even in a little bit more detail. So I'll send that to you afterwards. If you do have any questions, you should see on your screen a little area where you can pop in a question, and I will answer every question. I'll go through all of them at the end of the presentation, make sure that I get everybody's questions answered so that we can make sure everybody is satisfied. So let's talk about the different online marketing channels. Now, there's the search engines, which I've mentioned several times, Google being the big one. Yahoo and Bing are the other two players, although those two combined are less than 10-15% of all searches. Interestingly, the number 2 search engine in the U.S. is actually YouTube, especially for the younger crowd, teens, 20s, maybe even 30-year-olds. YouTube is a huge place for them to go look for information. Kind of blows me away that is, but of course that's a Google property, right? So that just boosts Google's overall numbers even more. There's SEO and organic traffic, which we're going to go through a little bit today. SEO stands for search engine optimization, or basically optimizing your website so that it shows up at the top of these different search engines. We're going to talk about the map listings, which are really good to get into because they draw your eye to them really quickly. Now they call them the snack pack because usually there's just 3 in there. They changed it over the years, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. Pay-per-click, which is your paid advertising, your Google AdWords, your Pinterest ads, Facebook ads, all those kind of things. We're going to talk about social media. We're going to talk about some online directories, different places you can get your business listed, and then we'll talk a little bit more about some paid lead services, such as Dexnos and Houzz, for example. So here's how the digital marketing or online pyramid kind of looks. The basis and the foundation of everything that you should be doing is SEO, and that is optimizing your site so that when somebody types something into Google, that yours comes up first in those rankings. That's huge, and it's also the most important. We'll talk a little bit about how people are getting banner blindness and things like that nowadays, and actually kind of skipping over the ads and stuff. But the next step up is your social media. So we're not talking about Facebook ads and things. We're talking about outreach on different social channels, whether that be LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest, for instance, any of these different social media platforms. Next up is paid directories, and you'll see this is the third step. So you really need to have these first 2 as a foundation before you start thinking about getting into paid directories, such as Houzz, for example, and getting them, if you can drive people to your site, but you don't have your site built up in a way that it really prompts them to do the next step, a call to action of some sort, then you've kind of gone about it in the wrong way. And that also speaks to pay-per-click. Pay-per-click being the last thing you should be doing, and a lot of people don't realize that pay-per-click or PPC, they think that should be the first thing, or Google's really good about sending you promo codes and getting you to sign up, and you spend $1,000 and don't get anything out of it, and that's really because it should have been a supplement for your entire foundation, your entire plan, and not the first thing. So that's kind of the pyramid. And let's talk now about what online marketing should you be doing. Well, I kind of already started to talk about that. You really need to update your website for search engine optimization and conversions. You need to make sure that it's mobile friendly. So Google came out earlier or late last year and basically said, we're actually going to split our index into two separate indexes, and one being desktop searches, another one being mobile searches. So if your site is not mobile friendly or what's called responsive, then you can actually show up in a desktop search for somebody, but not show up if they're searching for that exact same thing on a mobile device. And that includes tablets and, of course, phones. So having a mobile-friendly site is huge nowadays. You really should get active in SEO as far as ongoing things such as link building, building content, creating different things, whether that's YouTube or writing blogs or things like that. You need to optimize for Google Maps. So I mentioned this earlier. You need to visit google.com/business, claim your listing if you haven't already, optimize that listing, put your hours in there, upload a bunch of pictures, really optimize that out the best you can. And then the next part of that is called citations. And citations are mentions of your business on other websites around the world with your address and your phone number. And they might have a link or they might not, but Google's smart enough to know that if somebody mentions your business with the address, that is called, that's a citation or a vote really for your website. Another part of that is link building, and a little technical, but the more links that you have pointing back to your business, the more votes you have. So the more votes you have, the higher you're going to rank. So link building, we'll talk a little bit more about that. It's a huge part of search engine optimization and a huge part of just your overall presence online. And then, of course, some sort of a review request process. So a lot of businesses want to get those positive reviews, but maybe don't have an easy way to get those, or they forget to request, to leave us a review. It could just be that easy. It's important that you get active on the different social media networks. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on. Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Obviously you can't get on all of these, but you should have some sort of a plan in place. You should also be leveraging email marketing. So, you grabbing that list of emails from all of your clients, past clients, people that are coming to your site and raising their hand in some sort of way. You need to be leveraging that, whether it's with a newsletter or outgoing offers, and you can even use email addresses in Facebook-related ads, which is a pretty cool way to do it. So definitely important to be grabbing those email addresses when you can. And then, of course, the paid channels, AdWords, pay-per-click channels, paid directories such as Angie's List, Yelp, CitySearch, lead services like HomeAdvisor, Houzz, some of those. So there's a lot of steps, in doing all of this. And, it's kind of silly to do all that and not know if it's working. So the greatest thing ever about digital marketing is that everything is trackable and measurable. So if you do a Facebook campaign for 30 or 60 days, you'll have the results. You'll know how many people clicked, what they did, how long they looked around, and how many people filled out a form. So you'll know your conversion rate, things like that. Everything is trackable. Everything is measurable. So you can take that information, tweak what isn't working and what is working, and adjust so that it's working better for you. So today we're going to go through 8 steps to online success. And I'll just go through these quickly, but we're going to go into each one of these in a little bit more in depth because I want to spend some time making sure you guys know the different parts and that you have plenty of takeaways to take this stuff and go back and do it for your own site. So step 1, understand the search engines. What's the difference between paid, organic, map listings, things like that. Step number 2, build out your site for the most profitable services and your service areas. Definitely important and definitely one of the top things you need to be doing. Optimize your site and your pages for search. Optimize your Google Maps listing. Start getting those online reviews. Build those inbound links. Get that authority up so that if a competitor decides to start doing some of this stuff too, you're already so far ahead of them that your authority is just going to overrule, and it's going to be hard to start to knock you down. So we'll go through a lot of that today. Step 6, get it active on your social media networks. And step 7, leverage that paid online marketing. Once again, pretty far down the totem pole, but definitely a great supplement to a very well-built website. And of course, step number 8, as I mentioned, track, measure, quantify, tweak what's working, change what isn't, and get ready for that phone to ring. So step 1 is talking all about the search engines. And when somebody types in a phrase, so in this case, window treatments Seattle, that page that comes back on Google is what we call in our industry a SERP, or a search engine result page. And that typically has, as we can see on the right, it has a pay-per-click section, it has the local results or the map section, and then it has the organic listings below that. So that's a typical SERP page for and every one is different depending on what keywords are typed in. So here's another one that's interesting. This is Window Treatments Memphis, and what you'll notice is there are no companies right now running pay-per-click for that phrase. So Google doesn't show any ads because there's no inventory of ads for them, so everything just kind of moves up. So we've got our local results, our 3-pack or snack pack of local results, and then we've got the organic listings below that. And organic listings just means that these websites have optimized their page to show up at the top for these different searches. Another thing that's really important is, as I mentioned earlier, how people are starting to ignore the ads that are at the top of the search engines. You know, we saw the pay-per-click back here on the Seattle one. People are starting to get smart to that, and whether they're doing it on purpose or not, you know, just different eye tracking studies have shown that people just automatically gravitate towards that map area, or even below that to those first listings. So, you know, this speaks huge volumes to the pay-per-click, and Google's actually got rid of the right-hand column ads now because nobody was really paying attention to them. So definitely important that you know the search engines are part of what you're understanding and part of what you're trying to accomplish and how they work, that kind of stuff. So step 2 is to build out your site. Typical site has 3 to 5 pages. It might have a page for each of your services, so your blinds, cleaning, repair, those sort of services, and then maybe a page for each of the sub-cities. And this is where most business owners don't get that sub-city set, and they're missing an opportunity there. But this is kind of an average place. Then they come around with what keywords should we put in there. Well, here's a small list of some. Your city. So let's say you're in Memphis. Memphis window treatments, Memphis draperies, Memphis shutters, those kind of things. And so you really should start building out pages for each of these different things and each of these different keywords. And then on the right, you see some that are a little bit what we call long tail. They're a little bit more specific. So Memphis commercial interior designer, Memphis commercial window treatment. Those same home about us specials, contact pages, but you're also going to have some sub pages for each of your services with your city name in there, in the title, in the description, things like that, and then some sub city pages for different keywords as well. So like we're located in St. Louis, so we might have main city sub pages of St. Louis window treatments, St. Louis drapery, St. Louis blind repair, but then there's other cities in St. Louis, that are municipalities, things like that, such as Kirkwood or Chesterfield. And those individual cities should have their own pages built out, with their own information on them. And that really will help start to really build your site out so that every time Google comes back, it's receiving more and more information about your business and pages, places that you guys rank, pages, information that you take care of. Another thing that's huge is the galleries. We've done this for several clients, and by far, this is one of the biggest things you can do for your site, and that's to build a photo gallery section. A lot of the manufacturers, Hunter Douglas, for example, gives a ton of photos that you can upload to your site. And we see a lot of people come to these sites and start looking at photos because they're dreaming about how their house is going to look with this particular drape or this particular shade, or their office is going to look with this, this design, that kind of stuff. So the photo galleries are huge for window treatment companies, and you have a huge opportunity to grab a lot of traffic just because of having those up. So as far as navigation, pages, flow, things like that, your homepage, of course, you should have an About Us page, maybe even a Meet Our Team, a staff page, a Why Choose Us page. If you have a workroom, you might even want to have some sort of a workroom related page. Under services, you're going to list all your different services, your interior design, cleaning, repair, bedding, any of those other things that you do, your service area. And it's huge. It's really important that you embed a Google map. So what you can do is you can actually just go to maps.google.com and then just type in your city. So let's just say you type in Memphis, and it will actually give you a map with an outline of what they consider Memphis. And then there's an embed button that you can copy, grab that code, put that onto your website. So that does a couple things. Because you're pulling it from Google Maps, when Google comes to index your page, there's going to be a map embedded on that page with Memphis. So just that one thing helps you start to rank a little bit higher for city-related searches and phrases. You should definitely have online specials. They should change monthly or quarterly or however often you typically change your specials. Once again, if you're a Hunter Douglas gallery or some vendor of some sort, they have 2 or 3 different things per year, and those need to be put up on site because people will be pulled in just because of that. Some of our clients change their specials every month. Others just change them quarterly. You definitely need to have that up there. It's a great way to get people to engage with your business, get that immediate contact information. Reviews and testimonials are huge, and they are different from each other. So reviews are reviews on external sites from yours. So Google, Facebook, Yelp, Yahoo Local, City Pages, all of these other sites, those are reviews that are left by people that talk about your business, but they're not left on your website. So Google trusts those on those sites because they are not being manipulated by you, the owner. So when it comes to testimonials, they are important. They do have a place on your website, but Google understands that you can make those up, right? So you can write those, you can put them on every page of your site, and they're great trust factors for Joe Average that's coming to visit your site, but they're not going to be trusted by the search engines. So you really need both. You really need those external reviews, and you need to be pushing people towards those, leaving those reviews on those external sites. And then if you get one, or if you get a letter or something, and maybe they don't want to put one online, type those out, put them into a testimonial or something on your own site. Lastly, definitely a contact us page, along with that map that I was telling you about, some sort of a form that they can fill out to contact you right away. That form needs to dump to an email or maybe even a couple people at your place to make sure that somebody gets back with that person as quickly as possible. So let's talk about the elements of conversion. So conversion is not just getting somebody to the website, but actually getting them to do something, actually getting them to convert, whether that's to fill out a lead, to pick up the phone, something of that sort. Saw a couple of these yesterday, window treatment sites that didn't have their phone number at the top, and you had to go search for it. Highly imperative that your phone number is on every page in that header. It's big, it's red, it's whatever, but it's obvious that this is how to get a hold of us. And I would even go so far as saying it probably should be some sort of a call tracking number. All of our clients get call tracking number, which is basically a different phone number than their regular line. It forwards straight to their regular line, but each of those calls are attributed back to that website lead. And that's huge because then you know if all this stuff's really working. You definitely need to have that web form where they can request a quote or some sort of a designer visit, however you normally do your business. There needs to be a form, and it needs to be easy to find. It needs to be on every page or in the footer or something. You need links to your social media profiles, and I'm going to caveat this by saying you should only have your links to your social media profiles if you're actually active on those social media profiles. So if you're not using Twitter or you haven't posted on Twitter since 2013, then don't link to it, right? Because if you happen to get somebody who loves Twitter and they're active on Twitter and they come to your site and they, believe it or not, might actually use that to gauge how active your business is. So they might click on that Twitter link and see that you haven't posted in years, and that becomes a negative check mark, when it comes to them deciding whether to do business with you or not. So there's definitely something to say about linking to your social media profiles, but only if you're using them and consistently. You should have links directly to these different online reviews. You should have a testimonial section. You should be using your NAP, or your name, address, phone number, on every page of your site. This is typically in your footer, so it's one of the last things, but it needs to be consistent every single time. So your company name always needs to be whatever it is. If it's Joe's Shades, then it needs to be Joe's Shades. It can't be Joe's Shades LLC somewhere else and Joe's Shades Inc. somewhere else. It needs to be the same. Same for your address. If it's 123 Main Street, it needs to be 123 MAINST and not MAINSTREET in some places. And these little things can count against you. So the name, address, phone number is huge when it comes to listing your site on your website and on other websites as well. Your website should have some personality. I mean, if you can get some real photos of you or your team, if you have trucks, if you have a workshop, all those kinds of things, these photos turn it away from corporate and into real people trying to make money, and provide a service. And it really helps with the overall sales. So those personality pictures seem like they're just something on the side, but they're hugely important. You should also have a clear explanation of why they should choose your company. And this could be a simple mission statement or something that sets you apart from your competitors. And if you're ranking at the top of the search engines, then this explanation is just a bonus. They may not even go look at the other ones, but definitely there should be something that's obvious of why they should choose your company. And then if you have any special offers, incentives that can drive action. So really you're after that next step, and you're after them clicking on that button to schedule an appointment, or to leave you a message, or to pick up the phone, whatever it happens to be. Those special offers can be what teeter-totters you over the top as far as that goes. The pages on your website should have, different specific concerns that engage on that note. So as you're building out your pages, think about your target audience and what that person is thinking about, what that person is looking for, and make sure that you're talking about that. And if there's pain points, which there usually is, make sure you're poking at those a little bit. Make sure that you're rubbing those wounds a little bit and say, we can help fix that. You should have a clear call to action after each block of text. Maybe in your sidebar, there should be some sort of obvious button. Maybe it's orange or red or something like that. But it is the obvious next step on this particular page that I'm looking at on your site. You should also pull them deeper into your site. So this is where the gallery really comes into play. The gallery, somebody might land on your draperies page, but then they see that there's a gallery full of pictures, and boy, that pulls them in a whole bunch, and they may end up spending a couple minutes on your site looking at all these different pictures and dreaming about what they could do. So these kind of pages and these special offers, before and afters, are huge. Those things are fantastic when it comes to people making decisions on whether they want to choose you or not. And as we can see in the next bullet point, tell them why they should choose you. So have that obvious next step. Here's what we'll do. We have a guarantee, or we install within X number of days, or whatever it happens to be. You should have a web form on each page, or at a minimum on your Contact Us page, at least a button to a web form of some sort. Very obvious on every page of your site. And then it really should be optimized for the search engines. It should pull in that traffic organically because that it's optimized in a fantastic way. So step 2 is pretty huge. Step 3 is all about optimizing your pages for search, which we just mentioned. So you need to have a unique title tag, and I'll show you what some of these are. But a title tag should be unique for every page on your website. A lot of times people will just have a title tag that says home or welcome to our site or something like that, and you're missing a huge opportunity to get in front of the search engine and say, hey, here's what our website is about. It's about window treatments in Seattle, or whatever it happens to be. Your H1 tag, which is a technical tag that needs to be in your website, it should basically almost reflect your title tag. It should be either the same or very similar in some sort of way. Images that should be named with your different primary keywords. So instead of uploading an image that's 1234.jpg, it should be window-treatments-blue.jpg or something along those lines. Your URLs should contain the page keywords. So when somebody comes to your site, joeshades.com/draperies, that's easy. It's in the URL. You know what that page is about. If you're using a system like WordPress, that's a pretty easy thing to do. But those URLs should contain those keywords and should be obvious to anybody who looked at that URL where they are on the page. Internal links to other pages on your site. Internal links are big because it teaches the search engines what other things are related to each other on your site, and it also keeps people on your site longer because they're being drawn in, as you said, and every time that they click on another link to read something else that you've provided to them, you're just solidifying your branding in their mind. And, as a expert in whatever this thing is that they're reading about. So it's a great way to advertise 24/7, really, by just creating content one time and having those internal links that move people around in your site. There's also something called an XML sitemap, which if you're using a platform like WordPress, these are created for you. Those need to be submitted to Google Webmaster Tools, which is now called Google Search Console, and then Bing Webmaster Tools, so Bing has their own version of that as well. But these are just maps of all the different links on your site, and they need to be submitted to the search engines, really for one main reason, and that's so that the search engine doesn't come to your site and have to stumble through every page to find all your pages or maybe miss some. If you could just hand them a map and say, hey, here's every page on our site that we want listed, makes it a lot easier. And creating those are pretty simple. So here's a couple different titles. So the title, I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, the title shows up here in this little tab. So this is a screenshot of Chrome. So it shows up here, but on most of the browsers, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, they show up here in this little area here, and typically they're cut off depending on how large your tab is, but you get around 70 characters or so. And here are some typical titles: Joe's Window Designs, or Home, or Welcome to Our Site. I mentioned those earlier. But an optimized title tag is something like Memphis Window Treatments, Tennessee Interior Design, Shades and Shutters. That may be a little bit long. It might be more than 70 characters, but fantastic title. Tells the search engines exactly what it is that you do, and it explains what this page is all about. So here's an optimized tag. I actually missed my arrow a little bit. It's right up here. But this one is St. Louis Window Treatments, Shutters, Draperies, Blinds, and Shades. So works out perfectly. And you know, those titles are hugely important when it comes to optimizing your site. So then you grab that title, whatever it is for that particular page, and put that in as your H1 tag, or your top heading tag. So for this particular page, we're probably going after Custom Draperies St. Louis, something along those lines. So you can see how those are very important, and they really do go back to the search engines and say, here's what this page is about. Here are some keywords which we have in place, you know, and here's all the information you need. So, all right, step number 4, optimize for Google Maps. I'm going to grab a drink. All right. So Google Maps, hugely important. I've mentioned that a couple times, obviously, but you know, this section really draws your eye to it, and especially when they start to have the reviews, you guys can see these. When they have the stars, or one of them has 4 or 5 stars and the other ones have 1 or 2 stars, you know, that makes the job a whole lot easier when those map listings are optimized. But getting into those map sections can be a little bit difficult. It takes a little bit of time. And so let's talk about how can you get ranked in those Google Map systems. Well, the biggest thing is to use Google My Business, which is google.com/business. Go there, claim your business, type your business name in. If you got more than one location, make sure that you claim each location, and make sure that you claim all of those, because you know they're all going to start getting reviews from other places. So one of the really cool things that Google does is it will actually pull in reviews from Facebook and from Bing and some of these other places, and they'll actually kind of accumulate all of those different reviews into their one platform. So it's definitely important that you get there and that you start to get those reviews. The other driving factor in who shows up in that 3-pack is the amount of reviews that they have. And if you can start getting those and, you know, get 10, 20, 30 of them with a plan that works and a system that you know, positively reflects those reviews on an ongoing basis, you're going to be set. You know, that's a great great way to do it. And then there are some on-page things that you can do, which I mentioned earlier, such as embedding a map on your site, which talks back to Google Maps, which also talks to the Google My Business system. So they all start to work together and really kind of tell each other what you're about and where you're located. And you know, that's the big thing we're after, are these main keywords like Memphis Window Treatments, for example. So citations, I want to make sure that I mention this. Kind of talked about it earlier. We talked about the NAP, or the name, address, and phone number. A citation is just a reference to your business, but it might not be a link. It might be a business directory or something. It may be a chamber of commerce, right, where you're in their business listing because you're a member. Something along those lines. So that your name, address, phone number always needs to be the same, needs to be spelled the same, said the same, everything needs to be exactly correct. And it should match what's in your footer on your website. So you really should have that NAP in your footer as well. I mentioned that earlier. You need to be on a lot of the different major online directory sites, you know, and we can get you a list of those if you need them, but the obvious ones are Yelp, Angie's List, City Search, Yahoo Local, Facebook even counts as one of those. So definitely need to be on there. They need to always be the same, and that will help you move up in those Google Maps The other thing, obviously, is getting the reviews. I probably mentioned that a couple times now, but you need to have a strategy in place that continually gets those reviews in a way that that number keeps going up. And I mean, here's an example of a search for a couple different awning companies, and you can see our client in this case has 5 or 10 5-star reviews. The next one down has a 6 average of 3.2 stars, and then the next guys don't have any. So if somebody was basing just on this one thing, which one they're interested in, the first one's the obvious choice, right? The third one doesn't even have a website link, so I think they're out of the running in the first place. So then it's between those two, and the first one just makes more sense, and most people are going to click on that just because of the amount of reviews that they have and the amount of positive reviews that they have. Step 5, building inbound links and authority. So this is where it gets a little nerdy and a little technical, but also probably one of the things that most window treatment business owners don't do is they might optimize their site, they might get it done where their site's built in a way that has the right keywords and things in place, but they don't start doing the link building. And this can be more than 70% of what you really should be doing. So once the site's built, once it's optimized, it comes down to who has the most links. And the guy with the most links tends to win. So hugely important that you start to get links. And there's tons of places to get them. Obviously, there's the directories we talked about. There's maybe some of your vendors that you can get links from. There's writing blogs, not on your website, but writing content and submitting it to other websites that link back to your particular site. So Google will see these different links or votes for your site, and they all push back to your site, which just builds your overall quality and authority online. There are some other things that you can do, such as this is a report that we run for one of our clients to see where they were getting links from. So this first one was a story on one of the TV stations. So they were kind enough to link back to us. So that was an easy one. TopRatedLocal.com. So there's some sort of a business directory that we are listed in. There's let's see, 3BestRated.com. So there's a lot of places to go get these different links. It takes some time. It takes a lot of work, and sometimes it takes creating some content that you can go out and solicit to other owners of websites to get that link back to there. So at the end of the day, content is huge. And if you're not creating content on a regular basis, listen, you're the owner of the business and you know the most about this industry. So you're the expert. Getting other people to write content is great, but they're not going to get you to the good content. And nowadays, you need to create really good content. Now, the good news is if nobody else in your area is really kind of creating content on an ongoing basis, then you might have a pretty easy job starting to write different pieces of content around how-tos or color of the year or different new trends that are coming out. There's all kinds of stuff you can write about. But creating those, whether it's an article, it's a video, what you really could do is do a video and then have that transcribed, turn that into an article on your site, and then pull the audio out of that and maybe even turn it into a podcast or something like that. So shoot one thing, turn it into 3. That's pretty awesome way to go. And then make sure that you're syndicating that content out to your different social media networks, posting it on LinkedIn, things of that sort. So you're really, taking that one piece of content you've taken the time to create and really getting the most out of it, right? And Google sees all that, and they see those social signals, they see those links, those votes for you. They see people typing in these related things, and they're going to start serving your business up at the top of the searches for those different phrases. All right, number 6, get active on social media. So this is where some business owners start to stumble a little bit because you probably hear at the chamber meetings and things like that, You need to be on all these different social medias. You need to be doing social media. And the truth of it, in my opinion, is that you don't need to be doing all this social media. You need to pick one or maybe two if you have time. Most of us don't as business owners. Pick one or two that you know that your audience hangs out on, and that, or if you don't know, pick one or two, put some posts out there, see if you start to get some engagement, some likes, some retweets, whatever it happens to be, and figure out where your audience is and where they are engaging with you, and then stick with that one and really start to build it up. Because as I said, these social signals pointing back to your website can help you with your Google Maps listing, with your organic listings, all of those sorts of things. If you like YouTube, that's huge because it's a Google property. There's some huge advantages to that, obviously, but you have to like being on camera, those sort of things, or have somebody in the office that is willing to do so. But social can be a great place for you to get repeat business and referrals. If you start to do things such as posting before and afters, people like to share that. We get back to the pictures and the galleries and stuff. People love to like those pictures if they maybe they didn't see it on your site, but a friend shared a beautiful picture of the living rooms. People might share that. There's some great advantages when it comes to different social media platforms, let's say that, and how to get more business out of it. Big thing is where to start. I would definitely recommend starting with a business page on Facebook. If you don't already have one, you need to get one set up for sure for your business. And just start posting, even if it's once a week. Put something out there, and really it should be something that is helpful or some gallery pictures, things like that, but not something that's salesy. So I think a lot of business owners tend to just want to post their specials on these different platforms. And after a while, people are going to get tired of hearing about the latest special and things like that. So if you're putting out a bunch of good content, sharing blogs that you've written, along with content that maybe some of your non-competitors in other markets have posted on their sites, that all comes back to your business and how nice you are for sharing all that stuff. And of course, you can put some sales stuff in there every once in a while. There's nothing wrong with that. But just don't make it the focus of everything you do. So I think the big thing there is just picking out one and getting started with it. The other thing that I want to mention is email. Email is huge for window treatment companies. Get those email addresses from past clients, current clients, people who maybe want to be clients, people that are raising their hands. Getting those emails and staying in front of them on a regular basis is going to really help your business overall. Some of our clients do weekly or biweekly newsletters. Others take all those emails, upload them to something like Facebook or Google, and actually show ads to those people that they know are their past customers, and they can show specific ads to those clients to get them to come back or do another room or something along those lines. It's important that it's a lot of information, not just sales, that you're really pushing people to engage. And even in an email newsletter, we typically put a paragraph about whatever, let's say it's a blog that has been written recently. We'll just put a paragraph with a link to read more. And the reason we do that is because then they come back to the site, they read the entire article, they're seeing our branding, the calls to actions are there again. So it just kind of, pushes them in the right direction to take action. And if nothing else, we've got a huge branding placement opportunity right there. All right, step 7, we're getting close. Explore paid online marketing opportunities. So most people, when they hear about paid marketing, they think of Google AdWords. Nowadays, maybe more people start to think about Facebook ads. They're getting more and more popular. Two different animals, two different ways of going about interrupting someone to get them to click on your ad. I also mentioned Bing. Bing has a search feature here that we've got some clients doing very well on Bing. Once again, because it skews a little older. But these different pay-per-click marketing platforms are great. There's also online directories like Angie's List, Yellow Pages, Yelp, Houzz, etc. And then there's paid lead services where you can actually pay per lead. Somebody in Florida mentioned one to me yesterday. It was DexKnows, I think. I guess that's still around. I haven't looked lately. But paid lead services can be a great way to get those leads. The bad thing about the paid lead services is you're basically paying these other companies to rank for your particular phrases instead of going out and trying to do it for yourself. So, as soon as you stop paying them, the leads stop. There's no residual from it. Whereas if you're ranking for Memphis window treatments, that's a long-term deal unless somebody else comes along and starts doing some work and trying to rank for those particular terms as well. But once again, if you've done a good job of building that foundation, it's going to be hard to knock you down. So let's talk about why most of these pay-per-click campaigns fail. And something I hear a lot is, I had a coupon for $100 on AdWords. We ended up spending $500 and got nothing out of it, right? Well, some of the things you may have done is just set up one ad group for all of your services. So instead of being very specific about if people are looking for shutters, we need to dump them to the shutters page. We don't need to dump them to our homepage. Whereas if they're looking for blind repair, we need to dump them to the blind repair page. Those kind of things can be huge, and a lot of people will just put an ad up there. They'll shove all their keywords in there, and they'll say, let's just rank this ad and send everybody to our homepage. So definitely a wrong way to go about it. Another thing is they don't use specific text ads or landing pages. So once again, your ad, if it's for shutters, then it needs to have those words in there. When somebody types in shutters Cincinnati, then those words need to be in your ad, and they need to dump to your shutters page. No strong call to action or offer when they get to the landing page. So when they click on the ad, there's no logical next step, which goes back to the conversions we talked about earlier. This is a big miss. And I'll even insert another one in here is what we call ad sent. An ad sent is when somebody clicks on your ad and lands on a page, they expect a specific kind of thing or some words to match up. If it's a Facebook ad, then you have your logo in that ad and maybe even a picture. That needs to move over to the page that they're landing on, so they don't click on an ad and land on a page that's totally different in color and everything's just different about it, and they're like, well, I don't know, did I click the wrong ad, or what happened? This doesn't look right. Or you dumped them to the home page instead of the page of the product they were looking for. So those things are hugely important. And of course, landing them on the wrong page, we talked about that. A lot of people will just run ads and dump them to the home page. Don't make people come to your site and start searching for what they need. Land them on what they need. In fact, over time, when you start to look at your analytics after doing some of this, you'll see that your home page is actually the 5th or 6th or 8th or 10th most popular page on your website. And that's a good thing, because that means people are landing on those specific pages that they're looking for, and they're getting the information immediately. They're not being forced to click and look all around. So let's talk a little bit about how AdWords or Google Ads works. The highest bid does not always mean the top ranking, and that's because of something called quality score. Google must serve the most relevant results. So they actually watch how many people are clicking a specific ad, and if they come back, let's say they click on the first ad, and then they come back to Google 20 seconds later, and they click on the second ad, and then they don't come back, Google actually pays attention to that and might actually start showing ad number 2 more often than ad number 1, even though ad number 1 is spending more or bidding more to get that traffic. If it's a better written ad, or the ad sent is better, or the person is filling out the form on ad number 2, then they actually are going to start showing that one more. So that's called their quality score, and that drives the positioning and also your cost per click. So quality score is a bunch of different things. I kind of mentioned it. It's the click-through rate, or how many people click the ad in the first place, how your landing page is set up, how it's performed in the past. So that goes back to how many people click that back button to look at it again. Various relevancy factors, which is kind of generic. But the ad relevancy, or how relevant it is to the keyword that they typed in the first place. Those kind of things are hugely important when Google looks at what kind of things they're going to do when they want to rank your score. The big ones are the click-through rate, relevance, the quality of your landing page. Those are huge. So here's just a quick example of 2 different people. Mary's bidding $2 for every time somebody clicks on her ad. Tom's bidding $4. So you would think Tom's ad would show up first, and Google would want to show it up first because they can make more money off of it. But what they find out is Mary's ad is better written. People are actually going to that site, not coming back. So Google's actually going to move that up and show that one more times than Tom, who's bidding basically twice the amount that Mary's bidding. Because in the long run, Google's going to make more money. You're going to get better leads because you've written a better ad. So some really interesting things when it comes to Google Ads and their quality score. Big thing is, the better your quality score, the lower your cost per click is going to be for those top spots. All right, step number 8, we're there. Number 8 is all about tracking, measuring, quantifying, tweaking, looking at your different things like your analytics, seeing if the stuff you're doing is working, what's working, what isn't, what kind of traffic trends are you starting to see? Are you starting to see more people coming to your site and searching for specific phrases? That's a good indicator that you need to write a blog about that particular topic. Track your online ranking for those important keywords. So you definitely should have some sort of a keyword ranking report, spit out to you every week, every month, at least every month, and see where you are. Where were we last week? Where are we this week? I mentioned way early in the training about a call tracking phone number. I would definitely have one of those on your site. There's a little bit of a tricky thing with that, though, is that you don't want that number to be on your website in text, and you want to create that as a graphic and put it on your website, because we always want our NAP to match, our name, address, phone number. So if it matches everywhere else, except when they come to the website, there's this other number that forwards to our regular number, it's going to confuse the search engines. So you want to build that as a JPEG or a PNG file, put that on the site so humans still see that number, but the search engines don't see that other number. And a call tracking number just forwards to your regular line, but it can be attributed that way back to your analytics, that every time there was a phone call to that particular phone number, it was only because of the website. So that phone number isn't listed anywhere else. Also important to have a CRM or a customer relation management system in place to track your leads, to track any build amount if you want to, but at least track the leads and those sources of where those leads are coming from. We've got several clients that use Zoho One, which is not terribly expensive. And it works great. You can have people fill out a form on your site. It automatically dumps into those systems, and you've got that lead if you've got a sales team, or if it's something you have to do yourself. It's right there at your phone. So, all right, recap. Here are the 8 steps to online success. Of course, step number 1, understanding the search engines, how they work, what the difference between the paid, organic, maps. We talked about that. Build your site out for the most profitable services in your service area. So it's important that you build those out for those most profitable, because as they start to rank and you're starting to make profit from selling those products, that kind of fuels the rest of the stuff, right? So it starts to kind of self-fund after a while, because you're ranking and you're bringing in those those huge shades installations or whatever it happens to be. Optimize your site and your pages for the search engines. Get your Google Maps listing. Start getting those reviews. Build those inbound links. That's huge. Get that authority. Just really bolster it up so that, like I said, if somebody else decides in your market to start doing something similar, that they've got a heck of a fight ahead of them, which is, a great place to be if you're the top dog. Get active in social media and only go on the ones that you know your audience is on and that you're getting some engagement on. Explore some of those paid online marketing channels. I'm not against those in any way. I think they have their place, and it's not at the top of the list. That's for sure. And then track, measure, quantify everything. Make sure that what you're doing is working and that it's working well. So what do you do now, right? I've given you tons of information. I hope you've been able to take some notes, do some different things. There's a lot of different things you can do. There's really 3 things you can do. You can do nothing, say, thanks, Will, really enjoyed it, it was good, and that's fine. You can learn to do it on your own, which is also fine. I've given you tons of information. I'm going to send you my 52-page SEO guide. I'm going to send you some stuff. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, then I'll set you up for success with that. Or, of course, you can hire an expert, and that would be great. That is exactly what we do. We're window treatment marketing pros, and if you'd like us to do some of this for you, then I'd love the opportunity to do so. And the way that we do it is we only work with one client from each market. So if you were to sign up for us and somebody else in your market came along, we would actually have an exclusive with your business and would not do business with them in that same market. So that's a huge thing for a lot of business owners when it comes to really taking an expert that knows how to rank them well and getting them to the top. This is a big factor in that. So the first thing I'd like to do is just schedule a strategy call. About a 45-minute, 1-hour call. We'll go through your business, your website, talk about what's working, talk about what isn't working. I'll give you tons of tips. This is free, absolutely no cost at all to any of this. And you can do that at wtmarketingpros.com/strategy. It'll dump you straight to our calendar where you can set up a time. You can chat with me. I would love the opportunity to jump on and just hear about your business and how it's working, what it's doing, how what's working right, what isn't working, and I love that opportunity. So that's it for the call today. I do have a couple freebies. I'll get those over to you. If you have any questions, type them into the Q&A area there on the page, and I will happily answer those questions. I'll get those freebies over to you. That's the top 81 keywords for window treatments. That is the 52-page SEO guide. I'll send that over to you. And also our digital marketing checklist, which is a quick 2-pager of things that you should be doing on your site. Some of them we talked about today. Some of them are that we didn't talk about, such as having a secure site. So Google's really big on having an HTTPS 100% secure site. So that'll be on the checklist. Other things that you need to be doing, mobile friendly, stuff like that. So if you have an opportunity, and you want to look through that stuff, but I definitely want to get you on a strategy call. And I really appreciate you jumping on today. We had a great amount of attendees. I'm pretty excited about it. So if there's anything else you need, let us know. Jump on this website, wtmarketingpros.com/strategy, and we will talk to you later. Thanks, everybody.